Wondering what the performance management paper is all about? Not sure how the exam is structured or where to focus your efforts? If you're feeling overwhelmed by topics like variances, performance measurement, or cost management techniques, don't worry, you're not alone. In this video, we'll break down the PM paper, the aim, its syllabus, the exam format, and we will share practical tips to help you prepare effectively and pass with confidence. So, let's get started.
The aim of the applied skills level overall is to build on existing knowledge and understanding and to develop strong, broad and practical finance skills required of future strategic professional accountants in any sector or industry. So it's a very broad range of papers at this level. It covers law, performance management, which is essentially management accounting, taxation, and then financial reporting and audit and assurance, and then finance, so financial management. So it's a good grounding for the qualification and work of an accountant. The performance management paper within that is there to develop the knowledge and skills in the application of management accounting techniques to qualitative and quantitative information for planning, decision-making, performance evaluation and control. This is where the paper sits in with other papers. It sits straight on top of the MA Management Accounting paper at the previous level. So it develops a lot of the skills that you will have learnt there. And it leads on to the Strategic Business Leader paper at the professional level towards the end of the qualification, and the Advanced Performance Management paper if you choose that option at that level. Let's have a look at what's involved in the syllabus. There are 5 areas. We've got information technology and systems for organisational performance. We have specialist cost and management accounting techniques. And what that includes is activity-based costing, target costing, life cycle costing, throughput accounting and environmental accounting. So various different modern techniques. Section C, the decision-making techniques. We've got relevant costing in there, cost, volume, profit analysis, limiting factors, pricing and short-term decisions such as make or buy, and dealing with risk and uncertainty in decision making. Then part D of the syllabus, budgeting and control. There's some variances in there in addition to the variances from brought forward papers. New ones, we've got mix and yield variances and planning and operational variances. Then finally, in the performance measurement and control part of the syllabus, we've got performance analysis for profit organisations, not-for-profit organisations as well. And we also look at divisional performance assessment, so assessing the performance of parts of an organisation, and a related issue being transfer pricing. So very much building on the foundations set in the management accounting paper. The exam itself is computer-based and it's 3 hours long. You are provided with a formula sheet. You're not given every single possible formula that you might need on that formula sheet. There's only a select few though. The pass mark is 50% and there's words and numbers, a reasonably equal balance actually of both of those. Possibly a few more numbers but not many more. So words and numbers in this paper. There are 3 sections. We've got section A, first of all, for 30%, is 15 2-mark objective test questions. And this is objective test. It's not just multiple choice, so you could be required to fill in some blanks or pick several off a list, so multiple responses, pick them off a pick list or click a box. Section B, for another 30%, is still a similar sort of objective test type scenario, but for these 30 marks you're given 3 10-mark multitask questions. So the objective test question just split now into 3 different chunks. Each chunk is a scenario to start with, followed by 5 objective test questions based on that scenario. And then we have section C. Section C is often overlooked by a lot of candidates, and it's often commented on by the examiner that students do spectacularly badly in this section. So this is one for you to focus on. 2 20-mark constructed response questions. So these are much longer responses needed from the information systems, decision-making, budgeting and or performance measurement parts of the syllabus. So it's words and numbers in there that you need to deal with. In terms of timing, just under an hour for section A, so 54 minutes there. I would aim to get around 10 questions done every 30 minutes or so in that block, flagging problem questions as you go. For section B, again, another 54 minutes in total. Aim for around sort of 15, maybe up to 18 minutes maximum per scenario, and keep an eye on the clock there. And this is how you ensure you don't run out of time. For sections A and B, the objective test questions, make sure you read the questions carefully. Particularly look out for negatively worded questions and make sure you've understood exactly what the question is asking you. For example, which of the following is correct, or which of the following is incorrect, or which of the following is not correct. Make sure you pick up on those. Note from the question how many options you need to choose. Sometimes it might say which two of the following, in which case don't pick one, don't pick three. Make sure you pick two and only two. And the distractors is the technical term for options that are not correct. The distractors are engineered to be tempting to you, so they often include traps that it's tempting to fall into. So make sure you pay full attention to all the options before you make your choice. Now, if you're struggling to answer the question directly, there's a few tricks and tips you can do to help yourself. You can start off by eliminating the wrong answers to narrow down your choices. So read through the options, and if you know that the top and the bottom one are definitely not right, then you can discount those entirely. You can try also working backwards from the options you've been presented with, if you've been presented with options, and see which ones fit. That's another way of dealing with it if you can't directly come up with the right answers. Something I've noticed is that if there's two similar answers in a multiple choice question, one is often right because the other one has just been tweaked slightly to include a trap for you to fall into. So if there's two similar answers, focus on those because one of those is often right. If you're still struggling after having tried these tricks, then flag the question to come back to it at the end. And ensure at the end that you've answered all the flag questions, ultimately, even if you have to have a guess. Having a guess is better than not trying to put anything at all. Now, section C, the constructed response question, is nearly half the paper. It's 40%. There are word processing pages and spreadsheets that you can use, or sometimes you're given pre-formatted templates with gaps to sort of fill in as you go through those templates. Make sure you read the requirements first and you input numerical and written answers in there and include your workings. If you put formulas in there, those formulas will be marked, but make sure the workings and the formulas are easy to follow. Probably the area that lets most people down in the exam is section C, narrative questions, wordy type questions in section C. So if you focus your attention on those in your studies, you'll be ahead of the game. Studying for this exam. First of all, make sure you book the exam at the start of your study period, and then you know what you're aiming for. You can see how much time you've got to divide up between now and when you're actually going to sit that exam. Make sure when you're practicing questions, wherever you can, you're practicing in the real exam software. The Practice Test Academy software is very close, or the ACCA software itself you could use. Make sure you always do questions to time. It's a bad habit to get into, to give yourself ages and ages and ages to do every single question, because you won't have the luxury of time in the real exam. As we said earlier, that section C is a blind spot for many, especially the words in section C, so make sure you give time to those and that will put you ahead of the field. Cover the whole syllabus, even the hard bits. In fact, focus on the bits that you can't do when you're studying. It's tempting to stick to the bits you feel comfortable with, but the exam is designed to try and cover the whole syllabus, so you'll be preparing yourself best in working through the whole syllabus. Make sure that you learn mainly through question practice. Sitting and learning a file is a very passive way to try and learn. It's very hard for it to cram it into your head that way. It's often for people much more effective to have a go at questions once they've studied, have a go at questions, and then if there's any questions they can't do, then flick back into the notes to help you. And that's a much more proactive way of learning. It should stick in your head better. Focus on what you can't do in your study time, and then focus on what you can do on the day. And keep track of the questions you've done. So when you have a go at questions, try to keep the answers away from the questions themselves so that you can use those questions again later on down the line. I always used to keep track of the questions I got wrong in particular, and then after a bit of time had gone by, I'd have another go at them just to make sure I could now do them. So when you're studying, keep a diary and write what you're going to do every single day in those study sessions. And commit that. Put yourself first in this process and commit to those study sessions. Don't let other people and other things take them away. I'm not saying here you need to study every single day. You might well put a break day in your diary. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But stick to the dates that you've put in your diary. Give yourself regular breaks when you're studying. Every sort of 10-15 minutes or so, just look away from the screen for perhaps a minute and relax your shoulders and so on. Every hour, make sure you take a good 10 or 15 minute break. To be honest, even if you don't feel like you need it, take that break, walk around, have a stretch, have a drink, and that will keep the energy levels up for a much longer period of time. Try and keep your study sessions output based. Now, what I mean by that is that when you're saying, I'm going to study now for my PM exam, rather than saying, I'm going to study for 2 hours, say, I'm going to do these questions. And when these questions are done satisfactorily, then I'm finished. And that motivates you to get down and start working hard. If you give yourself a time limit, there's every incentive to slow down and waste time in those kinds of sessions. So give yourself output-based targets. The other benefit of those is that if you plan your work in that way, you're guaranteed to get through the work you need to get through by the time you get to the exam. And make sure you keep practicing as much as you can in the real computer-based exam environment.
If the ACCA Performance Management paper feels like a challenge, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Our tailored courses and practice resources are designed to help you master key topics and excel in the exam. If you prefer video lectures, we offer 2 options. The Master Course, which includes 4 mock exams, a detailed question bank, and engaging video lectures to help you confidently tackle PM. The second option is the Ultimate Course, which provides extra 2 mocks, so 6 in total, official BPP 2 ebooks, viewable via our website, and personalized marking services for 3 mocks so you can get expert feedback on your progress. However, if you're on a budget and don't need video lectures, you can choose our practice kit for exam-styled questions to sharpen your understanding, or focus on standalone mocks to practice under real exam conditions. Whatever your needs or study preferences, we have the resources to help you succeed and pass PM with flying colors. Thank you and good luck!